afternoon, Shifu.
How are you today?
Good.
You had a lunch?
Yes.
So today it's very special because we are over here in DL, in the Buddhist library. Thanks to Bhante Dhammaratana, who graciously give us permission to use the premise whenever we need. Last week we had the 7-month, a bit of the sharing on the 7 month, yeah, Rebel Mahamogalana. Yeah. Basically we're going to touch on the Yogacara, Bodhisattva. Before that, let's go through our ritual. Let's see, who is new here today? On my left side, anyone who is new? You've been introduced before, right? Let's see, left side. Who's that wearing yellow color? Okay, come, introduce yourself.
Nice to see you.
Yes. So, how do you get to know about this good cultivation? Yeah. So, Nathan is with us for the first time. I want to introduce her a bit. She's one of the rare individuals in Singapore. Singaporean. She's a Singaporean who actually take up nursing. Yeah. Give her a round of applause. Like similar to Sui Zhu, I knew her from about 8-9 years ago. For her 9 years. Sui Zhu, how many years? Probably 10. Sui Zhu is probably 10. 10 or 11 maybe. Yeah. So Nathan, when I first got to know her, she was in Poly with the Buddhist Society. There was a Dharma camp. Then on and off, they will have classes, they will have talks, and sometimes camp. Then after graduation, was there a time you did internship?
In hospital or?
Yeah, in hospital.
Yeah, but I didn't bump into you.
Yeah, didn't bump into me. Yeah. I would go to do hospital visits sometimes. Yeah, but then each time I go, it's in the wrong hospital. Then eventually she went on to NUS to do a degree in nursing. Yeah, and after that she went on to Tan Tock Seng. Yeah, so the NUS course was 3 years, and then she went on to Tan Tock Seng for another 3 years to work in ICU. Yeah, so yeah, really remarkable. Welcome. So let's see. Left side, who else? Today we have the business class seats behind. Are you all getting enough love from me? So far away. Usually I prefer the seats to be on the side. Yeah. In many centers, the chairs are usually right at the back. Yeah, so today our participants on the chair are not the senior citizens. All the young citizens, youthful citizens. So, but in many centers, the chairs are usually right at the back, and it's usually the senior citizens. So time and again I see this, and so I always feel like the Lao Pusa, the seniors always tend to be very far away from Buddha. Yeah, and sometimes even when the whole hall isn't fully occupied, but they will be set, right at the back. So they are even further from the rest of the crowd. So sometimes I prefer them to be at the side. So how about my right side? Any? Let me see. Today all season, not season citizens, season parking. All the season parking holders. Yeah, is there anyone who is here for the first time? Wait, the right side, the lady in turquoise, far back. Have you introduced before? Yes, okay. Yeah. Okay, so all the counted talk. Good. Welcome to SGC. We had our short puja, short meditation, and then the not so short Dhamma sharing. So today is the first week of September, and as part of our monthly sharing, we have this sharing on the Bodhisattva Precepts. Yeah, so the Bodhisattva Precepts is from this commentary. This is the first set of commentary translation that we did. This was we started this in 2009, finished in 2012. Yeah, so that's about 3 years. And half the book is actually the original text. Yeah. So strenuous work. Since then, we have moved on to other chapters to do the translation. Yeah. So the actual volume for the Chinese text is actually this thick. Yeah, 4 volumes, 100 fascicles. So today we are going to look at the Bodhisattva vow. Let's see. Well, coming up to the very last few precepts already. Not giving wealth, not repaying kindness, not sympathetic to sorrow and unhappiness. I think did we cover this the last time?
Yes.
Yeah. So today we are at precept 35. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think half of you all can't remember. Yeah. So as I've shared before, the Bodhisattva precepts, to begin with, most people don't quite know about it. Yeah. But everybody knows Guan Sin Pusa. Yeah. Almost all Chinese throughout the whole world would, at some point or another, hear of the name Guan Sin Pusa. Yeah. And we use the term Pusa so universally, we don't think twice. We don't think twice to consider that Pusa is actually a shrunk down, zip up version of Puti Sattva. Yeah. And we don't think twice about how the fact that the word Pusa is not a Chinese word. Yeah. It's actually a transliteration, Bodhisattva. Yeah. But today if I say Busa, you'll be like, what Busa? Yeah, but Pusa is basically you Bodhisattva, then you shrink it down. Yeah. So this goes to show that the teachings of Buddhism has become so ingrained in Chinese culture. Yeah. So much so that something interesting happened. Yeah. It is like how today, if I ask you, how many of you use chopsticks? Quite naturally, majority of you, if not virtually all of you. Yeah, even if you don't use it on a daily basis, you probably would know something about chopstick, at least how to use it. But if I were to ask you, who invented chopsticks? Anybody? Huh? Actually, Sifu also don't know. Yeah. And this is the thing about culture. Culture is just part of you. You don't necessarily know the details, you know. Yeah, when something becomes part of your culture, you don't necessarily know the details. Yeah, but you just are. Yeah. And so this is what I observed over the years. That Buddhism, yeah, Mahayana teachings, Bodhisattva precepts, it has become part and parcel of our culture, the vernacular, part of our expression. Ni pusa guo jiang. Oh, you see? Did you learn this from Dharma class? No, in fact, Dharma classes don't teach this. Yeah, so ironic, you know. But this actually has very strong Buddhist principles inside. Yeah, 泥菩萨过江自身难保. Yeah, it encapsulates the teaching on Dao Bian. Yeah, because okay, for the Gantang, 泥菩萨 refers to the Bodhisattva made of mud. Yeah, if we are not made of mud. Yeah, but imagine if you are made of mud. Okay, somehow if there's a Bodhisattva made of mud, and then this Bodhisattva is trying to cross the river. Yeah, of course then there will be a joke. Why did the Nipusa cross the river? Like why did the chicken cross the river? And why? Because in the Buddhist teaching, and this is not the trivial teaching. It is a teaching on this Bodhisattva path, yeah, to cross over to the other shore, paramita, yeah, to cross over. And so just in this first phrase, it encapsulates a lot of the teachings without going into too much details. So much so that even kids can recite this. 泥菩萨过江. Then how come it says 自身难保? Oh, because of course, yeah. If something is made of clay and you try to cross a river, you'll just dissolve. Yeah, and from this, then it highlights, as much as you may have the heart of a Bodhisattva, if you don't have the skill, the qualities of a Bodhisattva, then you're not even able to cross yourself, and you still want to save others. Yeah. So within the Chinese culture, when we use this phrase, we usually use this to point to someone. Yeah, meaning that the person cannot even handle it themselves. Yeah, and so we have to realize that Buddhism has become so ingrained. Yeah, I mean we can go on for the next 1 hour talking about all the different aspects, but just this alone. Yeah, just this alone. We know, and in a way we breathe many of these teachings, yeah, without realizing. Yeah. So Bodhisattva precepts is a more concise, systematized approach, yeah, to this path. Instead of being passed down through the culture by the people in a sense, yeah, but it's passed down through a different lineage, yeah, passed down through the lineages of Bodhisattvas. So the one that we are sharing here is under the Yogacara tradition, yeah, which found within the Yogacara Bodhisastra, which is basically the commentary. So as we've seen in the past 1 year, while the teachings is specific to Bodhisattvas, you'll find that just as we have seen in the past month, the last one is not repaying kindness. Yeah, not repaying kindness. This current month we are going to touch on Precept 35, not sympathetic to sorrow and unhappiness. Yeah, we're not looking at a text. If you just look at this line, not sympathetic, can someone share what you think about this Sympathetic, what does it mean? Sympathetic? Yeah. This is English word or? Sympathetic? Showing care of concern. Okay. Okay. So showing care and concern is in a way part of the process of being sympathetic. Yeah. It comes from being sympathetic. Yeah. Because showing care and concern, it is part of this whole chain. Yeah. But it is what comes after you are being sympathetic. Yeah. Being sympathetic means to feel, to be connected with how that person is. Okay? And then the next part, to sorrow. Sorrow, do you understand? Do you know sorrow? Not that I'm not doing advertisement for Apple. Okay, let me block it. Okay. So, sorrow, what is sorrow? Then you say sadness. Yeah. Perhaps one could say a very deep sense of sadness. Yeah. Like let's say the difference between sadness and sorrow. When you don't give your child the iPhone, your child is sad or sorrowful? Sad, huh? But some children become sorrowful. Yeah. So if your daughter or your son do not get the iPhone, do not get the toy, your child should only be sad, shouldn't be sorrowful. If your child is sorrowful, come and see me. Then unhappiness. Unhappiness, what is the meaning?
Not happy.
Not happy at all. So, not sympathetic to sorrow and unhappiness. What does it mean?
Not able to feel.
Not able to feel.
Not understand.
It's not understanding. What else? Not understanding to what?
Why? So the feelings that need to solve others.
So when others are having sorrow and unhappiness, we are not. We don't seem to consider that they are sorrowful or unhappy. Yeah, we are oblivious. In other words. Yeah. So I'm doing this today. Yeah, because in the past 1 week in different classes, I've been trying this out. Yeah, and the reason is because of one simple word, CHIN. Yeah. For the longest time, yeah, occasionally I'll see people say, "Wow, chill, oh, so chill." Yeah, and I want to get you all to realize that no, it's not. If you just take time to just read and think about it, there may be some words that, let's say for a child in primary school, yeah, how old are you? 9 years old, primary 3. Yeah. So for her, the word sympathetic may be a bit foreign. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but we must make the distinction. For example, when I say, 皆さん、今日お元気ですか? So how many of you understand what I just said? Some of you, yeah. So the rest who don't understand, what must you say? Well, if you don't understand, you wouldn't be saying that, would you? So what you can say is, well, I don't understand the language, yeah, that you are using. Yeah. Whereas if I use the language that you understand, but yet it is very deep and profound, that is uncommon, then you can say that the content is cheap. Okay? So let's see whether the content is cheap today. So if a Bodhisattva, out of the test, does not console nor remove sorrow and unhappiness from a sentient being who has encountered difficulties related to kin or properties, this is named a transgression. Multiple transgressions is a transgression of default nature. If acted out of laziness or slackness, such transgression is of undefault nature. So, the opening verse of all the different precepts so far is always if a Bodhisattva. Yeah. So the context, the context here is this applies to Bodhisattvas. But again, I must say, what if you are not a Bodhisattva? Let's imagine, okay? If we don't say if a Bodhisattva, if a person out of detest does not console nor remove sorrow and unhappiness from a sentient being who has encountered difficulties and so on. Okay? If you know of a person who is like that, what do you think of such a person? Is this person a person who is caring? You probably think this person is not so caring, isn't it? Yeah. Of course, it's not a crime not to be caring. It's not against the law. But what happens if it's your best friend? How would you feel towards such a person? Or what about if this person is supposed to be, let's say your spouse? Yeah. Let's say your spouse is like that. Yeah. Your spouse is someone who, out of detest, does not console nor remove sorrow and happiness from a sentient being who has encountered difficulties related to kin or properties. Yeah. Let's say you are the person who is sorrowful. Let's make it personal. Yeah. Imagine if you are someone who has just encountered difficulties, okay, related to your loved ones or your property, and then a friend hear about it. And the friend don't even say anything, okay? As to how much to say, that's another thing, okay? Yeah. But here, the person not happy with you, so don't even say anything. How would you feel? Yeah. You may feel that this person don't have a heart, cold-hearted. Or maybe this person is, you may feel all kinds of ways. Yeah, we may start to feel all kinds of ways. Yeah. So even without this precept telling us, we quite naturally would perhaps agree that as a person, yeah, we should try to console others when they are down, when they're having difficulties. Here it says related to kin or properties. Yeah, but we should perhaps realize that even if it's beyond kin or property, we should perhaps show some concern. Yeah? So then, much more if this person is a Bodhisattva, because then it means that this person has made a decision to be caring, loving, to be helpful to others, and not just others in terms of my friends or my family, but all sentient beings. And so this is the essence of this precept. And if a Bodhisattva were to do this, then this is named a transgression, multiple transgressions. As mentioned before, when we say it's a transgression, it is a transgression against the person's own wish. Yeah? Being a Bodhisattva, you wish to care for others. You wish to reach out to others for their welfare and benefit. So when you do this, then you are going against yourself. Yeah? Effectively, you are going against yourself. A Bodhisattva who will do that is going against his own root vow. Yeah. So, and if you do it once, it's one transgression. If you do it 2 times, it's 2 transgression. 3 times, 3 transgression. Yeah. And further, it's a transgression of default nature. Why? Because it is out of detest. Yeah. You're not happy with this person, then you do this. So are there conditions where if you don't do it, it's okay? So here it says non-transgression, similar to not rendering assistance, as has been said in Precept 31. So if we look at Precept 31, there's a whole list of conditions. Yeah. So under Precept 31, not rendering assistance, non-transgression. Yeah. So if you are sick or weak, so just nice, like what I say, 你菩萨过江. You yourself, I see, I walk. And the person has some problems. Then you get out of ICU to just go and do a visit. Not possible. Yeah, so if you are sick, you're not feeling well, or you are weak, you just traveled long distance, so you need rest. So sometimes as Buddhists, we have to consider it's important to be helpful. Yeah, we want to help others, but you have to also consider your own ability. Yeah, are we the best person to do it? Over here, if we just look at it plainly, it seems like, oh, this is just about an exception clause to tell us, oh, this is a loophole. Under this condition, you don't have to do it. But actually, there's something we can learn from this. When if one is sick or weak, if the other party can accomplish a task by themselves, if the other party has many helping companions, if what the other party is doing is not according to the Dharma or is wrong, and so on and so forth. Yeah. There are some that is relevant, there are some that actually don't apply to the same thing. Yeah. So there's something underlying here, which is, what are you trying to achieve? Yeah, what are you trying to achieve? What it means is, if say, in the context of our current precept, to console or to remove sorrow, the focus is on that person, not on you. What it means is, if you are sick or weak, then you are not the best person to do it. Yeah? Or, say for example, if there are already a lot of people consoling or providing assistance, then don't go and sorrow now. Yeah? Or don't insist that it must be you doing it. Yeah? Sometimes in our wish to be of assistance to others, we forget this. Yeah. We forget, and we actually forget to focus on that person's need. And we just focus on our need to render help, our need to be the one to console. Hey, how come you got trouble? How come you don't tell me? You go and tell others. I should be the one who be here to console you. You are so sad. How come you never tell me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not easy to realize this sometimes. Let me repeat this again. Yeah, I want all of you to look at me. Stop whatever you are doing. Pay attention. Attention. Whatever you do, you must ask yourself, what is the outcome you are trying to look for? Sometimes we let our ego, unconsciously let our ego get involved. We end up focusing on me doing it, focus on me buying it, focus on me helping you. We forget that, we forget that we are trying to help that person. That's why sometimes when, like recently, I'm doing a shift, so there are various individuals who offer to ask me what Sifu need and so on. So far, so good. Yeah. But time and again, I will tell them, where possible, offer to the rest to chip in. And this is a very direct way to to help individuals break away from that notion, must be me doing it. In this case, for Shifu, or for the Sangha, or for the Buddhist temple, perhaps it's quite easy to see it and break away from this habit. But when it's a person to person, sometimes it's easy to forget. I've ever encountered a mother, or rather a sibling, sisters, and the elder sister bought something for the younger sister's daughter. That means auntie buy for niece. If you go and check any country, it's not against the law. But the younger sister, got jealous. Jealous in what sense? Or upset. So what the gift that was bought for her own daughter, she would not open it, keep it in the cupboard. This may sound quite extreme, but it happens, Keep it in the cupboard. Why? Mommy cannot buy. Mommy buy. If we forget and our focus is on ourselves, again, everybody look up. 一心不能二用。Yeah, I will just keep on doing this until I make sure everybody. Otherwise, you all waste your time. I don't waste my time, no. Sekali, if I teach every single week, in my life, that amount of cultivation is enough for me to attain after all my life. Then because some of you don't pay attention, just joking. Actually, I don't mind if it get extended. The trouble is, if you all come, then you all don't listen. Then after, hey, you was so chim, but even the chim part is okay. At least you say chim. I actually appreciate those who openly say it's chim. Don't later go back and laugh. This person says so chim. I actually appreciate that, because for every person who say it's chim, there are many who think it's chim but don't dare to say out. Then just go and tell everybody, see it's chim. Worst thing. And then there's the third type that's even funnier, which is don't realize it's chim because never listen properly. Then very easy because only remember the funny part. And so nice feeling, so come, but actually don't know come for what. Don't like that. Yeah. So this part is quite crucial. Yeah. Because beyond the examples that I've given, it extends to almost every single part of our life. When the Buddha teach anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, no self. Sometimes when we learn about the teaching of no self, it's very confounding. It's very cheap. Like, what by no self? Sifu, you're sitting there teaching, then I'm sitting here listening. So if it's no self, does it mean that I'm not sitting here listening? Yeah. And then if you look at the text, how to do the contemplation, and even better, when you finally kind of figure out what it actually means, and then you wonder, so what? So what if you say no self? What is the implication? The very direct implication is our way of handling things, our way of living our life. That whatever we do, our focus is not on getting the things done, sometimes, not all the time, to be fair. Many times, our trouble comes from the focus on whether it's at work, the same thing at work. Most of the meetings conducted, but most tasks can be easily solved. Why do we have meeting after meeting after meeting? Because when it's something good, yeah, that you can show how good, effective your team is, and everybody wants to put their hand inside. It's done by my team, yeah, or done my way. So that's why we have so much meetings to discuss why it should be done my way, and the other team also want to have a meeting to discuss why it has to be done that way. It doesn't mean that there shouldn't be discussion, yeah. But so much time and energy and effort and feelings, are spent just trying to get things done our way. Number 7 of the first noble truth: not getting what one wants is suffering. No wonder we spend most of our time trying to get things done the way we want it. Yeah. But if we realize this faster, then we can very directly and effectively have a change. Yeah. So including when you are rendering assistance to others, including being sympathetic to others' sorrow and unhappiness. Let me give you one last example on this. Sometimes some students, they come from class and then they feel so motivated and they want to share with their friends or their family, yeah. And they may share, and they find that, hey, no matter how they share, how come the friends or family don't get it? Why? Why must it be shared by us? Sometimes we don't do it consciously, we do it unconsciously. Yeah. And sometimes it's not about the Dharma. Sometimes it's when we talk to our children, and then no matter how we talk to our children, the children don't listen. My teacher said, oh, then we are very bad, huh? Yeah, I've talked to so many parents and they've always said this. Hey, 师父，为什么啊？我讲100遍哦，你讲1遍他就听了。Actually, it's because you 讲了100遍 ，that's why my 1遍可以。You understand? It's because you have been saying it so many times already. That's why when I say it, then it can actually work. If you never say it, maybe I have to say 100遍。Sometimes when we want to share information with friends, the same thing. We share with our friend, our friends don't believe. Or we share with our siblings like, just Then later, after 3 weeks, come back to us, hey, do you know, what? You're like, I thought I told you this. Or maybe we heard, and then we say, where do you hear it from? Then your sibling say, oh, I heard from my colleague, I heard from my friend. Then you're like, but I told you 3 weeks ago. And then your siblings may say, really? You told me, man? No, it's not the same. And then we get upset, isn't it? We get upset not simply because that person didn't listen to us, but because we want it to be us. Because our ego is involved. Because we forget that we want to help that person. That's why we get upset. Otherwise, why should it matter? Imagine if a friend is lost in the desert. Yeah? Or your sibling is lost in the desert, and your sibling called you up, and you gave the direction, and your sibling didn't take the instruction. And somehow your sibling called another friend and gave the same exact instruction, and managed to come out alive. Are you going to be upset with your sibling? Hey, why do you follow my instruction? Why you follow? You wouldn't, isn't it? So the focus. So under Precept 35, the non-transgression is similar to the one in Precept 31. So let's look at the rest of the Precept 31 exception clause. if one uses skillful means, causing the other party's defilements to be subdued, as has been said in Precept 6. Yeah, so in this case, while that person needs consoling, the person may have other issues, yeah, that you know, if you don't console, it will make that person think again. Yeah, it will make the person reflect, and as a result, overcome some of the other defilements, some of the other perhaps bad habits. Yeah. So sometimes some parents ask me, or some people ask me, so Sifu, should I not say anything? It's not a hard and fast rule. Yeah? At the right time, say something. At the right time, sometimes don't say anything. Yeah. So to know the difference, you need wisdom. Or if one has prior agreement with another party, yeah. So if let's say you want to go and counsel or console that person, but you already have other appointments, yeah. Maybe you're busy with something else, yeah. So it's not a problem. If the other party has resentment against oneself and is non-receptive, yeah, the person may be having a lot of difficulty, needs some consoling, yeah, is very sorrowful or unhappy, but maybe there are some grudges. So if you go and, hey, how are you? Yeah, more unhappy. Yeah, and the person may misinterpret it. Yeah. A very simple text. Hey, I heard something happened. Is everything okay? If you're on good terms with another person, that is taken very nicely. Oh, thanks so much for your concern. But if you are having some problem with that person, the person may say, why? Yeah, and in the person's mind, the person may really be thinking like, oh, come and laugh, right? You know? Yeah, so you have to consider. Yeah, you have to consider. Next, if one is in the midst of cultivating wholesome deeds and does not want any temporary disruption. Yeah, so if you are, let's say, in the midst of a retreat, yeah, and there are others who can go and console that person, yeah, then you are in an intense practice where if you interrupt, then you have to start from scratch again. And then you shouldn't interrupt yourself. Suddenly I realized that that lady, second row on the chair, have you introduced yourself before? Not you. The one before that. Yeah. Huh? Donghua. Oh. How do you get to know about this group?
Actually, just now when I was doing my offering for the root offering, then I saw Bande was introduced me to this course.
Oh, I see. Sadhu. Welcome. Good. Yeah, so welcome to SGC. Where was I? Okay, number 8, number 9. If one is dull by nature. Yeah, so this one is talking about ourselves. Okay? If let's say we know ourselves, we have to know ourselves. This exception clause is for someone who is dull, but at least know that you're dull. Some people who are dull don't know that they're dull. In this case, it means that you must know. To go and console another person, you need to have the means, the skill. Yeah. You don't want to make the matter worse, you know. Yeah. Like for example, if let's say someone just lost a loved one. Yeah. Then you go there and you think, I must help him get out of his suffering. And go there, and at first you say, how are you? I heard your wife passed away. Yeah. Don't worry, can be born already. Well, is he telling the truth? Well, from a Buddhist point of view, it's the truth, but yeah. Oh, I mean, so you have to know, are you tactful? You have to be tactful. Yeah, don't go there. Why are you so sad? Don't be so attached lah. You don't know attachment leads to suffering, you know. So please don't attend one or two Dharma class, then I must go and save the world. Let me share with you all something very simple, okay? When you go to a funeral, just go and pat and say, take care of yourself. Anything, let me know, okay? 搞了，個個講我度，出事，okay? And sometimes, let me share with you some a personal experience. I have found that in many circumstances, kiam the home, when you don't know what to say, don't try to think of something smart to say. And I realized that sometimes it's 2:20. I set it alarm. So I realized that many times when you in a situation where you are not so sure of what to do, it's the best to be honest. Yeah. So sometimes when I go for a wake, I will just tell them the truth, but not the truth that I just said, but the truth about how I feel. And I'll tell them that I don't know what to tell you really. Yeah. And I will sometimes tell them that I don't know your father who has passed away. But from what I see, your father must have meant a lot to you all. And that's the truth, and that's enough. Don't try to cook up a story, your father was such a great person. Then stop so bad, man. Just so can I spy. When you guys are then see until just tell the truth. Yeah. So when you want to console people, you must have tact. Okay, if you know that you're dull by nature, don't know how to say the right thing at the right time, don't go and do it. Look for someone who can do it. Okay? If in order to uphold the wishes of the majority of motions passed by the Sangha. So this is about, this is very specific, where the community has already made a decision, okay, that this person is to be, what do you call it, that, let's say in the case of this, not sympathetic to sorrow and unhappiness. Yeah. For some reason, if the community has decided, okay, that something shouldn't be done, then out of respect for the decision, then you don't do it as well. Yeah. If you think it should be done, you should have attended the meeting to raise your hand and say, no, I don't agree, we should go. Then you should make your stand. Yeah, but we should be open to listen to the community also. So this last part here, in order to uphold the wishes of the majority or motions passed by the Sangha. Here, this is also something that, if you just read the line, then it's simply, Sangha has decided, just do as it is. But this is about something bigger than these two precepts. It's about our Singapore culture in a way. Yeah. I've mentioned in some other classes, in Singapore, we have a lot of meetings. We have the before meeting, and then we have the after meeting. During the actual meeting, when your boss asks, any comments? Anything? No comments. Everybody, okay, good idea. After the meeting, then there's another meeting. Yeah, the boss having set the direction, everything, then the boss go off, then the manager go off, then the rest, always come out, management always come out with this kind of, how cannot one? This is the after meeting. The best is the after meeting will sometimes revoke the meeting decision. This is actually about not doing that. If you want to decide on something, if you want to have a say it during the discussion, say it during the meeting. Once everything has been said, and a decision has been made, then you have to follow through. So while this line, in the context of these two precepts, has certain implication, but we can learn this and apply it in other parts of our life, including parenting. When husband and wife have decided on something, or you couldn't convince your husband, or husband cannot convince the wife, and at the moment, 11 o'clock, you want to say, okay. Here say okay, tomorrow wake up, you go to work. Not good. It's not good, isn't it? Once you have decided on something, you just follow through, stick to it. Why is that important? Because it's about integrity. It's about respecting decisions that has been made. Because otherwise then you have a meeting, first meeting, to decide on something, and after that, if subsequently, when carrying out the deed, we can change what was decided already. Then effectively, if you have spent half an hour, 1 hour or 2 hours, that 1-2 hours is basically thrown away. Effectively thrown away. And what it also means is that whatever decisions you make now can later be thrown away also. Then this is what in other parts of the world is called anarchy. Do whatever you like. That is basically chaos. So in the context of these two precepts, the full implications may not be so clear. But if you look at the principle, it's not simply about obeying orders, but it's about respecting decisions that has been made. So, not sympathetic to sorrow and unhappiness. Chim or not? Should be quite okay, huh? So, any questions? This particular precept, yes.
I'd like to ask for the transgression of default nature, will there be any consequence for that? And the transgression of undefault nature, what consequence will be for the practitioner?
So you will notice that in the Yogacara text, it just says that it is a transgression. In some other texts and commentaries, then it goes into full detail. Some would say, if you transgress this, the result is rebirth in hell. You transgress that, the result is in the lower realms, in hell. So in some tradition, the severity is very harsh. But over here, the focus is in your action. Focus on the things that you should be doing and not doing. Not much mention about those karmic consequences. Some students ask, sometimes in some texts, there's a lot of mention about the consequences. So some students ask, shouldn't we be doing good simply because it's good? Shouldn't we be helping people, not craving for the merit, but simply because it is the right thing to do? In that sense, this precepts here is focusing on that. If you ask me, if a person do this, what is the consequences? Well, it makes you a not so nice person. It makes you a less effective Bodhisattva. And if that person is sincere being a Bodhisattva, then he has failed as a Bodhisattva. Not that Sifu come and tell you, you have failed. Yeah, not that year end the Buddha send you a WhatsApp message. Dear Shui Zhu, as a Bodhisattva, your overall GPA up to this year, up to this life is an average of 3.2. Yeah, you will not be getting any performance bonuses. Yeah, you cannot upgrade to the next pure land. You will be remaining in Saha world for the next 3 kappa. No, you will not get such a text message. Okay. Again, I must highlight. As a person, if you do this, it's not. What kind of person would do this? Yeah, not to be judgmental or like point fingers, but it's about how do you want to live your life really. At the end of the day, it's really about this. Yeah. Yesterday I asked. Actually, I wanted you to do a simple exercise with all of you. Yesterday I had a trail run with a friend. Yeah, so it's a very interesting exercise. Would you like to try? Would you like to try?
Yes.
So you can call it obituary. Do you know what is obituary? Or maybe eulogy. Do you know what's the meaning of obituary? What is this?
Newspaper. Somebody has died.
Someone has died, and so on and so forth. More generally, the word obituary actually means notice. Yeah, it's an announcement. But in today's context, we tend to use it to announce the passing of the person. Yeah. The other one is eulogy. Yeah. Eulogy is something that is said about someone who has passed away. Yeah. So yesterday I did an exercise with a friend, and it's basically asking yourself to write a eulogy for yourself. Not that you are going to die anytime soon, but statistically speaking, maybe not so soon. But impermanence, don't choose. Yeah, impermanence, don't choose. But not to be morbid. It's about saying, now imagine, not next year, not anytime soon. Yeah, a friend of mine was quite cute. She was like, actually I don't mind dying anytime, but not anytime soon. I thought that was so candid. I think most people feel that way, you know. I don't mind, but just not too soon, you know. Yeah, so I want you to imagine, ask yourself, if you have a piece of paper now, or you can use your handphone. Yeah, prepare and then look up and let me know when you are ready. Then I'll guide you through. Are you ready? Okay. So let this be a eulogy. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, okay, when are you comfortable to die? So let me give you a point of reference. The average lifespan of a man in Singapore is about 80. For women, it's about 85. Between 80 to 85, thereabout. Yeah. So depending on how near or how far you are from this, yeah. But some people have told me that no, they don't want to live up to 80. They want to die maybe like 50 or 60. Yeah, some people told me that. Yeah, but usually it's like in the office, you know, there are some people who always say, very strong, want to quit. In the end, they stay until they retire. so So most likely those people who keep on saying, I don't want to live so long. Then in the end, 90 years, I don't want to live so long. I don't want to live so long. Very likely. Yeah, so ask yourself, roughly, when would you like to die, okay? And then you write that up there, okay? So and so pass away at the ripe old age of this number. And so let's say if you want to die at the ripe old age of 200, then you write, yes, so and so pass away at the ripe old age, super ripe old age of 200. Then ask yourself this simple question. Having died, and while this is written by you, this is going to be read by somebody else. And this person is going to share with others what they thought of you. And so ask yourself, how do you want to be remembered? If there's one quality or two qualities, what are the one or two qualities you want people to remember you by? And you can write that down. You can write down as like qualities, or you can write down he or she was such and such. He or she was very firm but understanding. He and she was very fierce and not so kind. He or she was kind and inspiring. And sometimes irritating. Okay? Very simple, okay? And one more thing to highlight. Don't worry about whether it's possible or not. I know some of you don't think it's possible for you to be known as being kind. Here we are writing about what you like it to be, okay? So don't worry about feasibility or possibility. Yeah. Many times, as children, when we are young, we are able to dream. We are able to have dreams and passion and plans. But as we grow up, this person tells us this is not possible, that person tells us this is not possible. And after a while, we don't dare to dream anymore. We just go for the lowest lying fruit, which is the one that dropped onto the floor and then get trampled by people. And so we end up not even trying. And then ask yourself, beyond the internal qualities, what about the external impact that you would like to have brought to others? This is something very personal, okay? You don't have to share with me, you don't have to share with the class, but if you like, you can always send it via WhatsApp to me. Okay? And most importantly, the point of this exercise is for you to consider very truthfully to yourself. Yeah? So don't put down the kind of model answer. Oh, he was a very loving kindness and compassionate person. Yeah. He embodied the 6 paramitas. Yeah. You may even have some dreams or some things that you like to accomplish that has nothing to do with Buddhism. He climbed Mount Everest 10 times. The foot of Mount Everest. Yeah, if that's what you have always wanted to try, and it doesn't violate other people's happiness, and you're able to do it without causing harm to yourself or others, then why not? And so this last one is the most recent one that I just mentioned is, what is the impact you like to be known to have brought to others? Yeah. So for all the parents out there, then you can also consider, in terms of this, how you would like your children to consider, to look when you have passed on, to look at your whole life and say, yeah, my mom and dad, this is what they brought to me in my life. And when you think about this, I don't know how many funerals you have attended and how many eulogies you have heard, but I don't recall anyone ever saying, my dad and my mom, they brought me to Disneyland 3 times. Universal Studios 4. I wanted to go a 5th time, but they refused. You know what I mean? When it comes to eulogy, who cares how many times you have brought them to Disneyland or, you know what I mean? Oh I really, it's a great loss to me that my mom passed away, because she brought me to Japan so many times, and now I have to pay for my own airfare. You don't want that to be the eulogy, do you? And for that matter, why should that be a eulogy? How many times you brought them on a trip?
But Shifu, talk about eulogy. I've done one eulogy interpreting before.
Okay.
For a very rich man in Singapore, he died. He's a dato. So the wake is done in his home. And the grandchildren will go and say eulogy. And true enough, they said, Grandpa gave me a lot of money to go for holidays. It's true.
So the question here is this: do you want to be a mother or father or grandfather or mother to be known simply for how many cars you bought for them? That you will be remembered for the number of cars you bought for them, the number of trips you have brought them to. Is that all you can bring to a person's life? Because if that is all you bring to a person's life, anyone can do that. Anyone with money can do that. I know that when my mother passed away in future, before she passed away, I've been telling this story. And it is not about the number of toys she has bought me, but that one toy that she didn't let me buy. Because on that day, we went to the market in MacPherson, and then it was they have the square thing, and then there's the upper level with all the small little shops. And I saw this toy, I think it was a toy plane where you buy and then you fix it together. I think it was 360 or something. By any standard, not really expensive. And then I pleaded with her to buy it, and then she was like, Mama boleh. And I was like, you cannot imagine Sifu doing that. And she just kept on telling me like, Mama boleh lah. Then dragged me down. Then up to the point where we were at the edge where there was this road, and then there was a car park, and then there was block 1, 2, 3, I think, and then the Pai Lipa, and then on the right is the MacPherson CC. So right at the edge of the market, I just refused to move. And I can't remember which one happened first, whether she let go of my hand first or she asked me the question first. But this is what she asked me. Mama,去哪等了？Very good, very good. 我都不要听。We're gonna go back now. We're not buying it. Can't you understand? You know, there's no money to buy that. Yeah. Of course, today you will put it as, which part of cannot buy do you understand? But for me, nope. I was going to have it my way. My toy. And I was like, not going back. So I think she put away my hand and she just turned around and she walked off. She just walked off. I think I probably was in my primary school, maybe P4, P3, P4, around your age. Maybe 1 or 2 years older, thereabout. And I saw her walk off into the distance, cross the road, into the car park, became smaller. And she didn't once turn around. Didn't once turn around and wait for me to follow. No, she just continued walking. And of course, after all these years, I thought about it. Yeah, perhaps it's because maybe she was crying, maybe she was holding back, you know, and she know that if she had turned around, that's it. But she just continued walking until she disappeared into the HDB flat. And I stood there, it was me, my principal, and my toy, which I still don't have. Yeah, and I stood there, and then there were uncles and aunties who walked past and see me being so cute and all were like concerned. And one of them, one lady actually came over and like, boy, are you okay? Like, why are you standing here? And because we were at the entrance part, I was just standing smack there and I stood there for about 2 hours. Don't ever try me when it comes to perseverance. At that age, I stood there for 2 hours, and the lady asked me, tell me, why don't you take a seat? You know, there are stone benches there. I'm like, mind my own business. Yeah, and in my mind, if I like to think that the reason why I stood there for 2 hours was, in case if my mom were to come back, then she'll know that I stood firm. I'm unwavering. Yeah. While the Buddha sat at the Bodhi tree and make the vow, until I attain enlightenment, until then I shall not rise. For me, it was different. Until I get my toy, I shall not move. I still didn't get my toy. By the time it was 11 o'clock, about 2 hours of class later, I realized that it didn't work. My mom was not coming back. It was lunchtime and I was getting hungry. In this world, between ego and hunger, hunger wins all the time. So I went back, shoulders slumped. And then I realized that I don't have the keys, so I have to press the doorbell. And my mom came to open. And I tell you, my mother is a person of principle. I'm like her. And she opened the door, she stared at me, and just walked home. Didn't even open the metal gate for me. And of course, me being her son, I have to keep up the tradition, isn't it? So I also refused to talk to her. And later on, when my uncle came over, and then heard about it, my uncle did one thing that I've been sharing with parents. He came over, didn't even bother explaining anything at all. Parents these days explain too much. He just came over, boy, 自己拜日烧了，来。Wasn't asking me for my opinion. I mean, seriously, who cares about a 9-year-old opinion or 10-year-old? Like, We care too much about their opinion sometimes. Sometimes you should, you know, once in a while give them a fake sense of choice, you know. I mean, seriously, as parents in your 30s, why should you even doubt that you probably have a better sense of what things are and the right decision? Why do you have to consult your son about anything at that age? At a later age, teenagers, you should, you know, start to get them involved, but not when they are, you know. So my uncle and he grabbed me. Before I really dragged to the kitchen and then, you know, positioned there to apologize to my mom. Begrudgingly, I apologized. I must have teared. Not so much because I was so remorseful, but because I was like, what was that? But years later, I realized that was one toy that kind of probably made a huge difference in my life. The one toy that I didn't have that made a huge difference. Because if my mom had given in, perhaps she really didn't have the money. Perhaps she did. But if she did and she gave in, I would have learned a lesson wrong. I would have unwittingly learned that, oh, as long as I make enough noise, then I'll get my way. And as long as I throw tantrum, then people will go along with me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It just makes you a jerk. It doesn't get you a toy. Even if you get a toy, a jerk with a toy, big deal. And so, yeah, I know that when my mother passed away, I'll have this to say. So it's not about the toys that she has bought. It's not about the places that she has brought me. It's about the lessons that she has given me, directly or indirectly. So think about it. Yeah. What is the impact you like to have brought to people with your life? Now bear in mind, having written what you wrote, in future, your children may not say the same thing. But it's more about how you like to live your life. Yeah. Now the last thing I want to get you all to perhaps consider to put in is, what are the physical things, possessions that you like to leave behind, if at all? You may consider, oh, I want to leave behind 10 shop houses. Then you better work yourself off. Or you may think, oh, I like to not leave behind anything. Then you better start giving away. Yesterday I was sharing with my friend that, yeah, like if somehow I die next week, then I can't help it but have left behind the 2 bookshelves of books and many other things that people gave me over the years and I haven't actively been given away. Not that I hold on to them. Yeah. Like at this point in time, most of the things have been moved to the new place. And then it struck me that, yeah, I'm going to be staying in the old place for the next 3 weeks. Which also means that actually those things that has already moved are not the most high priority things that I actively need. Doesn't mean that I don't need them, but many things we have in life are the things that we need once in a while. And we accumulate once in a while here, once in a while there, and before you know it, our whole life is about once in a while. Yeah, so sometime later, maybe we will revisit this. So I hope you wrote it down and keep it somewhere secure, okay? Yeah, and then maybe a year later, maybe half a year later, revisit this and take a look. What has changed? Yeah, what has changed? And even more importantly, writing your own eulogy is like us asking our children, what kind of grades do you want to get for PSLE? You want straight A's, then are you studying? Now we tell our children very wise words, Yeah, but if we apply to our own life, then you realize that, yeah, if you write your eulogy in a certain way, then that's how you should be living your life towards, isn't it? Then you've got to ask yourself, what are the things you're so busy with? Are they helping you to move one step closer to your own eulogy? Or are we sometimes caught up? Not on purpose, not with bad intent, but sometimes we are busy, we're caught up with our ambitions. And then we forget what the ambitions are for. And then before you know it, it's the next line. Who knows, maybe we have had this conversation many times. And maybe in the past life, it was you who was telling me. So if it was, thank you for the reminder. Put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真了，
不愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛，起立。